Hi, how you doing? Well, we got some news today concerning Charlie Kirk and the person that took him out, and I felt obligated to take another look at the event chart for the day everything happened and discuss some of the new things we learned. Because I got to be honest with you, Charlie Kirk was someone that I've had pegged for years as somebody that I really don't want to pay that much attention to. So when I read that initial chart, I really didn't know anything about the situation other than he got, you know, when when he did. I knew when and where and none of the other details. And if you remember, I had a heavy suspicion that it was an inside job. And I gave my reasonings why. And now we've learned a little bit more. A suspect has been apprehended, and it seems more or less clear cut that he did it. But I still have a lot of questions. First off, I want to say that even though if this person did it, if the narrative that is currently being pushed is true, then by everyone's surprise, it was a far right extremist that did it. And from someone that came from a all white Christian MAGA supporting family. And so where I may have misread the chart as it being an intentional inside job, perhaps I was incorrect about that. And here's the thing for you, man. It doesn't matter how long you do astrology. You can be wrong about some things. But am I? So that's why I wanted to make another video, because I just wanted to discuss some interesting things that came to light. So apparently, recently, like very recently, Kirk had started speaking out against the Epstein files and saying they needed to be released. And he started backtracking on his statements about Israel. And very shortly after that was when all of this happened to him. Not only that, but he apparently, I don't know the truth of this, I'm only going off of what I've read, but a friend of his had said that he had confided in them he was worried that Israel was going to come after him very shortly before this happened. And then furthermore, there was this questions of this airport where they had closed down the city, but one private plane had left the closest airport to where all this happened, and they illegally turned off their GPS system while they were in the air. That's highly suspicious. But then, not only that, very shortly after it was announced what happened, we have a video of Trump, full makeup, full suit, in the Oval Office, giving a statement about this. 20 minutes after this happened, and now I'm seeing today some people are saying this is an AI video. I'm an elder millennial. I am not very good at telling AI videos. I mean, sometimes I can, but not always. But that's what a lot of people are saying, is this video was AI. Either way, they had an AI video of Trump making a statement, or Trump was ready to make a statement. Let's rewind the clock a week to when he had a press conference and he was an hour late to his own press conference. But 20 minutes after Kirk was removed, um, he's dressed and making a statement about it. And then there is the crazy coincidence that both Trump and Netanyahu at the exact same minute posted an almost identically word statement offering condolences to his family. There's just so many things here that are adding up. But now there's this Tyler Robinson kid who's part of this far right extremist group, Groyper. I guess that's where all the extremists on 4chan went once they weren't allowed to post their violent content there anymore. I remember that happening a couple of years ago. My knowledge of these crazy fringe internet groups has gone down the drain in the last few years, because I've created a tiny human and he takes up all my attention, so I can't keep up with the internet like I used to. But that's my assumption, is where this Groyper group came from. And because they have the Pepe the Frog meme as their mascot, and they hide their extremist activities behind humor and memes, and we know that Trump really stoked the QAnon conspiracy group people to his support, and he's even posted photos of himself with like Pepe the Frog in the background and whatnot. So he knows these people support him. So my point of all of this, of thinking it's an inside job, was either way, my initial chart reading pointed out that it was someone affiliated with the groups Kirk is affiliated with that did this. And I suppose that could be correct if it was an inside job by the government, or if it was just a MAGA aligned far right extremist group. But what I'm ultimately getting at here is, what are the odds that the reason they don't speak out against these groups, even though they're behind so many shootings, is because it is convenient for them and they're easily manipulated to do things? You know, if wouldn't it be so nice to have a group that can do your dirty work for you, and all you have to do is just kind of manipulate them into doing it without actually telling them to, on an internet message board? And so that way, when these loony guys go out and do this stuff, there's really no way they can trace it back to you. It's just very interesting that right after Kirk seemed to have a wake up call and started speaking out against these Epstein files and the genocide in Gaza, suddenly he was taken out. And on the very day that Congress was voting to release the Epstein files, and they voted against by one vote. And nobody is talking about that because everybody's too busy talking about Kirk and arguing. And they have successfully stoked the flames of division again, right when the country was kind of waking up and realizing what was going on and starting to get a little bit of solidarity. And that was the plan the whole time, to stoke division. And that was what this chart implied back then. If you look there, and you could see Mars squaring Jupiter, Mars in the 11th house squaring Jupiter in the 8th house, and Venus, the DC ruler of Taurus, in Leo in the 9th house. Philosophy, idealist based crime. Also, 9th house, the killer was very far away from a high position. That's what that can imply. And with Mars squaring Pluto, and that T square of Pluto to Mars and the moon, that was what this was all about. But let's see, I've got about 2 minutes left. Let's go ahead and just take a very quick look at what today's transits look like. Yes, so as you can see here, Mercury has gone conjunct the Sun. That's sextiling Jupiter. It's going opposed Saturn conjunct Neptune. And Jupiter being ruled by the moon is conjunct Uranus. And so what I can see from today's transits is the messaging coming to light. Moon coming conjunct Uranus has made the truth be revealed, and that truth being that no, this wasn't a far left extremist, this wasn't a trans person like the far right people were immediately pushing. They were already, before there was even a suspect, they were already pushing that the left did this, the left is at war with us, the left is the party of murder. And what was I saying the other day? What does this solve for anybody? What would this accomplish if a far left extremist did this? It would accomplish nothing. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. There's extremists on both sides, but it just did not make sense. It made far more sense that this was an inside job situation to me. And that's what I think the moon conjunct Uranus is saying. And as you can see, the messaging changed immediately from, we need to hunt this person down, we need to go to war, we need to threaten these universities, to, oh, now that they know it was a MAGA far right person, it was, oh, if only he could have talked to Charlie, we need to pray for this man, this mentally ill man. It's crazy how once the truth came out, how the wording suddenly changed. But be careful out there, guys. This is all still Uranus retrograde stuff. It's only going to keep getting crazier. And I hope you have a good night. That's all the time I have.